We've got two new winners on the Korn Ferry Tour, and we're getting closer on the road to French Lick. Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to the Road to French Lick, a show chronicling the Korn Ferry Tour. I'm Ryan Ballengee. It's great to have you with us. On this week's episode, we'll go over the last two tournaments on the Korn Ferry Tour schedule, and we will be joined as a special guest by one of those two players who won in those last two events. First, we'll go over the first of those two events, the Tulum Championship at PGA Riviera Maya in Tulum, Mexico, where I also have my honeymoon. But this is the first year for this tournament played at PGA Riviera Maya, down in the Playa del Carmen area, which is a very popular tourist region for a lot of Americans and Canadians. This was the first year for this event. Again, a great tournament played and one of the higher scoring events, not relative to par, on the Korn Ferry Tour schedule this year. Coming down the stretch, it was very, very tight with three players having a chance to win. And in the end, Bryson Nimmer made birdies on 16 and 18 in regulation to post 9 under par 279, and it felt like in that moment, with one group left to go, he was going to be the winner of the tournament. Then Canadian Stuart McDonald pulled off something incredible. After a poor tee shot on the par 4 finishing hole, he chipped out, leaving himself about 100 yards for his third shot, which he then holed for birdie to force a playoff between Nimmer and McDonald. They went back to the tee on the 18th. The first time around, they both made par 4. The second time around, McDonald did not make par. Nimmer did. He won his first Korn Ferry Tour title. He won $180,000, 500 very important Korn Ferry Tour points for a man who's played the last two seasons on the Korn Ferry Tour with conditional status to start the year. He now has a place to play this year and next year for sure. Let's listen to Bryson Nimmer after the win in Mexico.
Well, Bryson, start this year, you're fighting for starts just to get out here. Now you have Korn Ferry Tour winner. How does it feel?
That's crazy. I think I just processed it about 2 minutes ago, but I have somewhere to play now all year. I'm in a really good spot now for a chance to get my PGA Tour card. It changes everything. So, just go home. Thank God there's a week off next week, so I have some time to get all this together. But I'm really excited for the rest of the year and so glad that I had a great week this week in Tulum.
And what do you think it says about you winning here? This has been a difficult golf course, playing in high temperatures all week, and everyone's really fighting it out there. What do you think it says about your kind of resilience?
I think it's just I like hard golf. I like adversity. I think this is a golf course that you just can't slip up. You got to keep your head down and just be okay with whatever you get and move on. And it showed this week, thankfully. And hopefully they get a PGA Tour event here because that helped me a lot.
After the Korn Ferry Tour stop in Tulum, Mexico, they made their way back to the United States, where they will remain for the rest of the season and headed to a long-running event on the schedule, the AdventHealth Championship, played at Blue Hills Country Club in Kansas City, Missouri. This tournament went a lot lower scoring than the one in Tulum, and in the end, one of the players who figured in the first event of the year at Atlantis wound up winning for the first time in a PGA Tour sanctioned event. S.H. Kim, who was the playoff runner-up at Atlantis to start the year when Hank Lebioda won, he is the winner here of this tournament. He won by 3 shots on 20 under, 268, shooting a final round, 71 to get the job done. He gained 500 very important Korn Ferry Tour points in addition to the haul that he has had so far this year with a couple of runner-up finishes, jumping into first place in the point standings. Blaine Hill Jr., who had a PGA Tour card and struggled with that PGA Tour card, has played on the Korn Ferry Tour the last 2 times out. He has 2 consecutive top 10 finishes, including a solo runner-up here at the Kansas City event on 17 under total. Ben Taylor, Alvaro Ortiz, and Carter Jenkins, who qualified for the Korn Ferry Tour Championship last year at French Lick Resort in French Lick, Indiana, They all finished in a tie for third place. So let's hear from the winner of the AdventHealth Championship, S.H. Kim.
I mean, how does it feel right now to have your first win on the Korn Ferry Tour?
콘페리에서 첫 승을 했는데
콘페리에서도 첫 승이고 또 마지막 우승 이후 되게 오랜 공백이 있었는데 이렇게 우승하게 되어서 너무 기쁘고 또 행복합니다. 네.
extremely happy. It's been a while since I've won a tournament, so this achievement is pretty special to me.
What would you say was the key to your victory this week, and what part of your game worked the best?
이번 주 우승의 키는 뭐라고 생각하고 어떤 게임이 잘 됐는지?
사실 연술란드 했을 때 코스가 저랑 썩 잘 맞지 않는다고 생각했어요. 그래서 최대한 좀 보수적으로 치려고 했고 다른 선수들 드라이버 칠 때도 저는 좀 아이언으로 끊어가고 그렇게 좀 안정적인 플레이를 했던 게 주요했던 것 같고 또 퍼팅도 잘 따라주면서 우승할 수 있었습니다.
I got to be honest. When I first played the practice round, I wasn't too comfortable with the course. I wanted to play conservative compared to other players. So when other fellow players hit a driver, I hit wood. But overall, the overall game plan worked. My putting worked, and that's what led to a victory.
You've come close to winning out here, I think 3 or 4 times before. What did you take from those experiences into today that helped you get the win?
준우승을 4번이나 했었는데 혹시 그 경험에 의해서 올해 이렇게 우승한 거라고 생각하는지?
물론 많은 도움이 되었고 또 긴장되는 상황도 계속 맞닥뜨려가지고 훨씬 편안하게 플레이할 수 있었고 제 플레이를 끝까지 지켜나갈 수 있었던 것 같아요. 그런 경험들이.
Yeah, most certainly the experience paid off, and I came up close 4 times, but I try to stay composed and play my game, and that's what ended up happening.
After Bryson Nimmer's win in Mexico and S.H. Kim's win in Kansas City, we update you now on the point standings for the Korn Ferry Tour points list. Remembering that the top 20 players at the conclusion of the Korn Ferry Tour Championship, presented by United Leasing and Finance, played on the Pete Dye course at French Lick Resort in French Lick, Indiana, get 2026 PGA Tour cards. And for the first time this season, someone not named Hank Lebioda leads the point standings. And that's S.H. Kim, who you'll remember Lebioda beat in the first event of the year at Atlantis to secure the lead in the Korn Ferry Tour point standings. Now that S.H. Kim is a winner himself, he earned 500 Korn Ferry Tour points for that win in the AdventHealth Championship. He moves up into first place in the standings at 1,177 points. Lebioda moves down to second place at 1,044 points. Johnny Kiefer is in third place, having played the PGA Championship last week instead of the AdventHealth Championship at 1,015 points. Josh Teeter is fourth on the list with a win this season at 750 Korn Ferry Tour points. And Neil Shipley, who will play this week in the Charles Schwab Challenge on the PGA Tour, is in fifth place at 697 points. And for his part, our winner in Mexico, Bryson Nimmer, moved up to 16th place in the point standings with his win in Tulum. And then on the back of a top 20 finish at the AdventHealth Championship, he moved up a spot in the point standings. He is now 15th in the point standings, remembering that the top 20 get PGA Tour cards for 2026.
French Lick, Indiana, our little corner of the world, has big things waiting. It's where legends were made, on the court and on the course. Walter Hagen, Colin Montgomery, Betsy Rawls, and Mickey Wright. It's where life is lived to the fullest, and where unexpected adventures are around every corner. Big things are waiting. Are you in? Visit FrenchLick.com and start your escape here in Indiana.
Our special guest this week on the road to French Lick is Bryson Nimmer, the winner of the Korn Ferry Tour event in Tulum, Mexico. We had the opportunity to play golf with Bryson last year in South Carolina. Had a fabulous time getting to know him, and we've been tracking his career ever since. As you'll hear from the interview with Brendan and I asking the questions, we were very happy for Bryson to get his first win. So we wanted to talk to him about that experience, what it means for him to now have this secure status on the Korn Ferry Tour, and so much more. So please enjoy this conversation with Bryson Nimmer.
All right, sweet. Bryson Nimmer, champion, baby.
Perfect.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Brendan. I appreciate it.
I'll tell you what, it's been a long road, man. We've been watching it for a while. We couldn't be more proud. Ryan and I were we were actually sitting in a restaurant watching the play-by-play on
the phone.
On the phone, and then all of a sudden, you're in the clubhouse, and then we get a blurb. It said, chip in from 100 yards away, and we're like, oh damn, he lost the playoff. But we didn't realize that you were in the clubhouse and that 100-yard chip in made you go into a playoff. What's going through your mind? Tell us about your last couple of weeks. What's going on?
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, that whole week in Mexico was wild. I kind of was never like really leading the golf tournament at any point. I think after Friday, I was maybe one back, and then, going into the weekend, it was kind of like I was around, but I wasn't in the lead. And then just got on back nine Sunday and figured out how to put myself in contention. And then obviously thought I birdied 18 to win the golf tournament. And then he holes out from the fairway. And I was like, at the moment, thought it was to beat me. So I was like, you got to be kidding. Like, I just did all that, and I'm still going to lose by one. And then come to find out it was for birdie. So we were in a playoff, and just a total roller coaster of emotions.
How cool was it to have your folks there? We saw that, and just to have the opportunity that they've been there. They dropped you off at junior tournaments. They watched you play through everything. They watched you play through Clemson. Shout out to the Tigers with the big old hat. I dug it out of the archives. The
Go
journey
Tiger.
that you've been on to have your folks there has just had to be just mind blowing.
Yeah, it was so cool. I mean, like you said, like they've been there every step of the way, and just all the support they've given me, whether it be walking every day to watch me play golf in junior golf, or coming to college events, to, the financial side that goes behind it in junior golf. So, I mean, just a ton of support, and just so cool to finally, win something big that really matters in pro golf and kind of elevate my career to a different level, which is huge.
For you, this is a big deal in a couple of different ways, right? 500 Korn Ferry Tour points, which is huge, but also $180,000 and everything that isn't tangible that comes with it. What's that non-tangible stuff, the stuff that's not easy to touch, that comes from this for you for the rest of the season, for the rest of your career?
Yeah, I mean, it's a ton of things that go along with it. I mean, just, you get the rest of this year, first of all, status, and then I also get all of next year, which is a huge thing in golf, just having status and knowing where you're going to be playing every week. So that's big. I mean, I've actually never really had that in pro golf. I've had 2 seasons out here, both of which started under conditional status. So I kind of had to, like, week to week earn my way into tournaments, and just a totally different feeling. I mean, like, your mindset, it's crazy. Like, the next week just totally changes. You're not really as worried about trying to make a cut. You're not so worried about, like, oh, I need to reshuffle and all this crazy stuff. And it turns more into, like, let's go get a PGA Tour card. Let's try to go win golf tournaments. And kind of back to, like, what I was trying to do in college when I was having success. In college, you're not worried about anything. You just go play golf and try to win. And it's kind of cool that, winning out here means a ton, because it can just free you up to do so many more good things going forward.
So one of those non-tangibles, last week in Kansas City, you guys sort of had like a little champions dinner and a winner's dinner. And a little special guest show up.
Yeah.
Mr. Watson had to come to dinner. What was that like?
Yeah, I actually did not get to go to the dinner. I get to go this week, but I didn't get to go last week because of the club situation that I had. So
Yeah.
I had Monday, Tuesday just trying to figure out what golf clubs I was going to play for the week.
Well, you missed a hell of a good time from what I heard. So
I know. Lord, they told me.
One. Hey, going back to the mindset. You started this year. You tied 53. You tied 69th. You go to Veritex. You miss a cut. You make an ace, which was cool. And then you come back and you win. And then last week, the first round you shoot a 70. Second round, front 9. shoot 40, 10th hole, bogey. What are you saying to yourself on the 11th hole to turn this thing around? Because you did. And what you did was pretty remarkable. You had 3 birdies in the back to make the cut on the line.
Yeah. I mean, I think just trusting that I was playing really good golf. We kind of got, it happens in golf. We got the wrong side of the tee time wave. And, that afternoon, Friday, it started blowing like 30, 40 miles an hour. And I didn't really hit many bad shots on the front nine and somehow got 4 over par. And then I bogeyed 10, and it was like, okay, we're 3 shots out of having a chance at making the cut now. So I think me and my caddy just did a good job of like resetting and saying, it's not over. We got 8 holes left. I just won a golf tournament 2 weeks ago, so I obviously know I can do what I need to do coming down the stretch. And just gave myself a lot of looks. I mean, I think I had probably 5 putts inside 10 feet on those last 8 holes.
Bang.
For birdie, and made 3 of them. So, I mean, just kind of, like making a cut's not as big a deal as winning a golf tournament, but from a confidence standpoint and all that, like knowing you have to make 3 birdies to make the cut and being able to do it is just a really good feeling. And they carried over into the weekend, thankfully, and played some good golf.
Well, I tell you what, man, you're playing some great golf. You got everything's in front of you. You got a baby coming. Congratulations. I know that's got to be definitely one of the main goals. Hey, we all do things for a living, but I tell you what, at the end of the day, when you have a family to come home to and a lovely family that you have, nothing is better than that. So we couldn't be more proud of you, Bryson. Ryan and I have been big fans since we played with you a couple years back, and we've just been pulling for you the whole time. We look forward to seeing you in French Lick. Hopefully you win twice more and you don't have to come to French Lick. So for you, at least in the financing championship, we hope that goes true. But if not, man, we'll definitely see you. We can't wish you the more luck or skills or whatever it takes for you to get it done. But we're really proud of you, man. Congratulations.
Brendan Sweeney joins me down in Orlando, Florida. We're going to talk about the last couple of Korn Ferry Tour events. First, let's talk about the Tulum Championship at PGA Riviera Maya down in Mexico. It's the only event remaining on the schedule after they started in the United States that leaves the United States. First year for the tournament. What a dramatic finish in year 1. Our friend Bryson Nimmer, our guest this week on the show, wins his first event on the Korn Ferry Tour, does it in dramatic fashion in a playoff, and he does it over Stuart McDonald, who had to hit a miraculous shot just to get to the extra frame.
Holes out on 18 to force a playoff after Bryson
from 100 yards.
What's that?
From 100 yards for a birdie after a horrible tee shot.
And we're watching it with no television. We're like doing a script thing. And it's like, what just happened? So, yeah. Can you imagine how Bryson must have felt? I mean, God, the guy's been a grinder forever, and we'll catch up with him later on today. But what a great victory for him. But what a great victory for the Korn Ferry Tour to have 7 first-time winners this season on tour. It really says a lot about the talent that's out there and the competition level that's really shining to the top, and how any guy could like go from basically the bottom of the points list, boof, skyrockets up at like number 16. Can't beat that.
Yeah, it totally changes his season, changes his life. He's got a place to play for 2 years. He's got $180,000. I know the points matter. That's what gets you to the PGA Tour for next year. But having that financial reassurance that you've got that bank account really does go a long way for a lot of players.
Right. I tell you what, it's an absolute gem, not only to be watching these guys grow up and fight their way through the ranks, but to know a guy that, we know how hard these guys work. We know what it takes to become a champion. And then like that, whatever change he makes or made, it obviously worked, and lightning in a bottle in one day. I mean, that's the beauty about the Korn Ferry Tour. Guys come out of nowhere, and we've seen it 7 times already this year.
And the really cool thing is that for those guys who win, they get the payoff of all of the support that they've garnered over the years. I'm sure Bryson and everybody else who has won this year on the Korn Ferry Tour has heard from people they knew from childhood or 10 years ago, or they met one time at this one place. They exchange phone numbers, and they get a flood of text messages and phone calls and well wishes and emails. And that just has to be such a great feeling, such a great validation of the time that you mentioned they put into this, but also just who they are as people.
Right. And then you look at the rest of the field that was playing that week. Everybody's doing great out there. You look at who just won last week, S.H. Kim. The guy's been grinding all year round. He's got this year he's got, he was in the playoffs in the Bahamas.
Yep. First event of the year.
Yeah. Hank took him down to that one and then finished second in Argentina, finished seventh in Texas, and then he won. So, yeah, our points leader so far, S.H. Kim, is up there well above 1,100. And you predicted at the beginning of the year to get your card, it's going to be close to 1,200 points. And looks like he's pretty much got it secured already.
Yeah, and that's got to be a huge weight off your shoulders, knowing you're basically there. Hank Lebiota's basically there. Johnny Kiefer's basically there, top three in the point standings. Big drop-off after that point. It is really interesting that having played about half the regular season at this point before we get into the playoffs, a little bit more than that now, that the two guys that lead the point standings are the two guys that went to a playoff in the first event, and everybody else is after them. So there is something to be said for getting off to a hot start on this tour in the regular season.
It's the Korn Ferry Tour. It's like the weather. If you don't like it, 5 minutes later it'll change. So we'll take it from there, and we'll see what happens. But we had a great tournament last week. Fill us in a little about what happened.
Yeah, out in Kansas City, the AdventHealth Championship. Blue Hills has been a longtime host of the Korn Ferry Tour. Like we mentioned, S.H. Kim wins. He wins over Blaine Hale Jr., who had a PGA Tour card a year ago. It just could not figure it out on the PGA Tour. Comes back here after trying to exhaust every way back into PGA Tour starts this year. Second consecutive top 10 in a row. Finishes in the runner-up spot for him, which is great. He jumps into the 90s on the points list. So not only is S.H. Kim basically locked up a PGA Tour card for 2026, which is huge, but Blaine Hale now has a decision to make. I think it's kind of been made for him that he kind of has to go now this path of the Korn Ferry Tour, see where it leaves him, having two great results in a row, see if he can't get at least into that top 50 or so that by the time you get to the Korn Ferry Tour Championship at French Lick, the math works a little bit easier to get into that top 20 and get back to the PGA.
That'd be the United Leasing and Finance Championships at the French Lick Resort. But it was counting, right? But you look at Blaine. I mean, he went up 77 points in a week. And that just goes to show you, you get hot, you come in and get a top five, and it boosts you right up there. So anything could happen. Knoxville's coming up this week, and that's a great event going on out there. And I think we're going to start seeing, with the tour dates coming closer together, with the points being more, the competitions being more just hardcore, that these guys are starting to grind, and the cream is rising to the top, and we're going to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, now we're out of the stage of the year where anyone who got that 12 guaranteed start period out of Q school, they are fresh out of luck. So hopefully you made your hay in those 12 events. You got fairly well high up on the points list. That determines your access to events for the next 4 events, and then they'll reshuffle again. But you've got to continue to move up the points list to have quality access to these events. And if you didn't have access at the beginning of the year and you took advantage of those opportunities, kind of like a Josh Teeter, you find yourself in a great position, if not to get a PGA Tour card, at least give yourself a chance at one of those 20 come the end of the season out on the die course.
Yeah, it's going to be a run to the roses, man. We're looking forward to it. So, Ryan, I don't know what to say. You can't create any more drama that's already out there, and I think the script's going to write itself. And nothing is predictable on the Korn Ferry Tour, and that's the beauty about the Korn Ferry Tour, and it's the way it's been over the last 20 plus years out there. So champions all start there.
Right, and then we've got about half the season to go in terms of the regular season. Then we get into that 4-event series we know and love as the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. We get 3 events in that series. We get a new penultimate event this year out in Oklahoma, the Compliance Solutions Championship. So that's a new next to last tournament. And then they come basically right up the middle of the United States to French Lick, Indiana to end the season with everything on the line. That'll do it for us this week on the road to French Lick. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to Bryson Nimmer for being part of the show. Our next event on the Korn Ferry Tour schedule is the Visit Knoxville Open, played in Knoxville, Tennessee, one of the longest running events on the Korn Ferry Tour schedule. We will have another show recapping that tournament once it's complete. For everyone at the French Lick Resort, including Brendan Sweeney, I'm Ryan Ballengee. For everybody at Golf News Net, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on the road to French Lick.
You've arrived at French Lick Resort, here in Indiana. 2 hotels you have to see to believe. Legendary Golf by Pete Dye and Donald Ross. Our little corner of the world is like nowhere else. Your French Lick getaway starts now at FrenchLick.com.